Okay, so we're still in book 6.6b, and we have something called the slope-intercept form. This is the slope-intercept form, and you have to know this form. It just means get y alone on this side. The term that has the x goes first. Whatever number is in front of the x, that's our slope. And then there's a term that doesn't have an x, we write it at the end, and whatever number that is, that's our y-intercept. So this is the slope-intercept form of an equation of a line. Okay, so how do we graph something using this form? If we're given an equation, is this in slope y-intercept form? It has to be y equals mx plus b. It has to be y alone. That is not y alone. So you have to solve for y. So get rid of the neighbor, the one that's far away, and then here you have your best friend, divide, get rid of that, and then here we have to have the x term first, so we just switch these around, and we solve for y. Now I go, ah, yes. Now it's in slope y-intercept form. Here's my slope, and here's my y-intercept, okay? And then the first thing we do is we look at this number, which is our y-intercept, and we're lazy, okay? We don't write y-intercept. We use the letter B to represent y-intercept. I have no idea why, okay? So we say, okay, first we have to graph the y-intercept. Here is the y-axis. So we have to put a point at -3. So negative is down. 1, 2, 3. There's my point there. The second step is I use this 4/3 as my slope. 4 is positive, goes up. 3 is positive, and this goes left and right. So it says go up 4 and over 3. So I have to go, I start at my y-intercept, I go up 4 and over 3. And I put another point and join them up, and there is the graph of my linear equation. So let's do that together. I'm going to start on page 13. So on page 13, it says, write the equation in slope-intercept form. What is slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. Write this down. The m is equal to the slope, and the b is equal to the y-intercept. So copy that out because you have to know that, okay? And then it says, then graph the line. So first we have to make our equation look like y equals. So we're going to start with question 4. So is this in slope y-intercept form? No, because it has to be y equals. So let's make it y equals. So we need to get y by itself. I always tell people that if you forget which one to get rid of, the 3 or the 2x, the 3, this is me, this is 3, this is like my best friend, my BFF, okay? This one is like my neighbor, he's kind of far away, okay? Would you get rid of your best friend or your neighbor first? Always the neighbor, because, well, your best friend's your best friend. So how do I get rid of this and move them to the other side? We always do opposite. So if this is positive 2x, we go minus 2x. And I go to the other side of the equal sign and do the same, minus 2x. So what is 2 minus 2? 0. So I got rid of the neighbor and I moved him to the other side. So now I'm going to make a mistake. I copied these out. This and this can't go together. We can't go 6 minus 2 because he doesn't have an x. So I have to write them beside each other. But this is a mistake. See how it says subtract 3y? Keep that negative. Be careful. Don't lose it. Okay, so we move this to the other side. So now I have the 3 to get rid of, my best friend. I have to do same over same. If I divide this by 3, I have to divide everything by 3. But wait a minute, that's wrong. If that's a negative 3, I have to use negative 3. See? Has to be exactly the same. What's negative 3 over negative 3? 1. So this means 1. So instead of writing this, we go 1y equals, use your calculator, a negative divided by negative is positive, 6 divided by 3 is 2, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and this is as simple as it can get. But what we want to do is we want to write it as a fraction with the x beside. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this x down here and put it like that. Okay, does it look like this form? Almost. The x term has to go first. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip these, and 1 can hide. So let's write it again. 1 can hide, and I'm just going to flip these. I'm going to put this one first and this one after. But if there's nothing in front of the 2, no plus or minus, it's going to be plus 2. So now, here is my linear equation in the slope y-intercept form. It has y equals, it has a term with the x, and then a term with no x. Okay? So, the number that's in front of the x, that's my slope. And this number here is my y-intercept. Okay? So now I've put it in slope y-intercept form. Now I'm going to graph it. Step 1. I use my y-intercept. And I say b equals 2, positive 2. We use b instead of writing y-intercept. Step 2, we do our slope. And slope is m, and slope is 2 over 3. So, step 1, we have to put a point at 2. So here's y. Because it's positive 2, we're going to go up 2. If it was negative 2, we'd go down 2. But it's positive 2, so we start here and we go 1, 2. Don't put a point there. So there is my y-intercept. Now I have to do my slope. Remember, the top number is up and down. The bottom number is left and right. This is positive, so it's up. This is positive, so it's right. So it says go up to right 3. Starting from here. Don't start at the origin, start here. Up to right 3. And put a point. Now I'm kind of bad at drawing straight lines if I only have 2 points. So what I do is I like to say, okay, what does that shape look like? It looks kind of like an L that's sideways. And I do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and I put another point. Because now, you don't have to do that, but now I can graph a nicer line. Just because I'm bad at drawing straight lines. There. You don't have to do this third point here. You can just draw the line from using your y-intercept and then your slope. Okay? So let's do another one. Let's look at this one. Okay, so is this in slope y-intercept form? Is it y equals? Nope. So let's make it y equals. So let's write it out. So this 5, this is me, the y. So the 5 is like the BFF, my best friend. This thing kind of far away is the neighbor. Am I going to get rid of the best friend or the neighbor first? The neighbor, because y wants to be alone, so I have to get rid of this and this. So this is like 1x. So what's the opposite? Minus 1x. And I have to go to the other side of the equal sign and do the same thing. Minus 1x. 1 minus 1 is 0, so it's gone. So I'm left with this. Don't forget to bring the negative. Negative 5y equals. Can I go 3 minus 1? No. Because this does not have an x and this has an x. So they're not like terms, so I have to write them beside each other. Now y wants to be alone, so I have to get rid of the 5. So I have to divide by 5, divide by 5, divide by 5. Okay, what's 5 divided by 5? 1. So this is 1. So that's really 1y equals, so this has the x, so this is the slope, This is not the slope, this is the y-intercept. And this you can write it as a decimal. So I'm going to put this in my calculator. Can you see? 3 over negative 5. SD, negative 0.6. This has the x, so this is my slope. I need to keep it as a fraction. I'm going to, because it's a negative and a negative, it's going to be positive. But if you don't know that, let's check. That's negative 1 over negative 5. So it's plus 1 over 5, and I'm just going to move the x beside it. Okay? So now, it kind of looks like that, but see how the x term has to be first? So I'm going to take this and move it here, and I'm going to take this and move it there. And I'm going to hide the 1. So it's just y equals, this goes first, and this goes at the end. Okay, now I have it in slope-intercept form, because it goes y equals, the x term is first, and the term that does not have the x comes after. So this is my slope, and this is my y-intercept. So step 1, I do my y-intercept. Negative, so b equals negative 0.6. What is 0.6? That's like half. So in my head, I'm going to think that's like half of a jump. Step 2 is my slope, and we use the letter m. My slope is 1 over 5. Okay, so first I have to put a point at negative a half. But it's a little bigger than a half, but I have to put it on the y-axis. Remember, y looks like this, so this is the y-axis. Okay, so I have to go down, negative, down a half. Will that be down 1? So I have to go down a half. So there's down a half. Now, the 1, is that left and right or up and down? Up and down. And this one is left and right. Because it's positive, it's up. Because it's positive, it's right. So it says go up 1, right 5. Oh, but I'm on half, so I have to go to half, that's up 1. Then I go right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So that's 5, 1. So I'm going to do it again just to get another point. You don't have to, but it helps me. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down 1. There. So I use my slope to make a few points. And now I connect them. Make sure you put arrows on the end. Okay. And I've graphed my points using the slope y-intercept form. Okay.